Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to wherever you are around the world. Today I'm going to be going through everything that you may or may not have missed during the Developer Direct live stream and the Forza monthly live stream, which happened a day later on the Forza Motorsport Twitch channel. And I have a lot to go through. I'm going to be using a lot of the terminology that they have used. There may be some repeats from the Forza monthly and the Developer Direct, but let's get started, shall we? Because as I said, I have a lot to go through here. It's looking promising. Whether they can achieve all this, let's wait and see, shall we? So let's start off with the Developer Direct. As usual in Forza fashion, they have shown us new cinematic footage, which looks very, very nice. Graphics look absolutely fantastic. No gameplay footage was shown at all during this time, so we are still yet to see any sort of gameplay footage that is new. So the first thing that they mentioned was this is the most technically advanced racing game to date. I will believe it when I see it. When they kind of make these claims, I'm like, is it? Or are you just saying that just to try and pull us in? We will see. So they start off and say they have more than 500 cars at launch. That's standard for Forza. You expect them to have a huge library of cars. Whether licensing carries over or not, that's a different matter, and some licensing will not be achieved or have run out or just can't be used anymore. Now with those cars, you have 800 unique upgrades that they went on to say, but God forbid. We've got that 10-year-old spoiler that we showed with the MX-5 showing. Yep, you know the one I'm talking about. It's still there 10 years later, absolutely. Of course, they're not getting rid of it. I mean, at this point, I think the devs are just trolling us at this point and just keeping it in just for the memes, I think. Now, out of those 500 plus cars, we have 100 cars that are brand new to Forza Motorsport. Whether that means Forza Motorsport entirely, we might see some that have been in Forza Horizon Vibe before, but not Motorsport. So I'm not sure if they're very specific with that terminology in terms of they mean entirely of Forza or Forza Motorsport as a single. They started with physics, saying advances in physics models from Forza Motorsport 5, 6 and 7 combined, it was just better than those combined. And with that, they did show this kind of cinematic crash with the Chevy. They showed some dirt on the Chevy as well. We'll talk about dirt as well later. And they have made the claim that the physics engine has made the driving more fun and rewarding. Now, they move on to some of the graphical things, because why wouldn't they? It's a Forza game, it has to have good visuals. Materials and shaders are built from the ground up, a phrase that they love using during this presentation, built from the ground up. So the materials and shaders are going to be at a higher resolution, optimized for ray tracing more of a standard now in gaming. How well it will perform on the Xbox, we have yet to find out, but I personally will be playing this on the PC. Damage and dirt build-up next is unique to each car, so every single car has a different damage and dirt build-up model. That's good to see. They love the details in this new Forza Motorsport, and you will see that with each new thing that I mention here. They go on to say about it simulates the paint thickness, chipping and directionality. That is very detailed, very detailed. Love to see how that will work. The dirt gains more on the low pressure areas, like the alcoves is one of the examples that they gave of the car. And that's when they go on to the best sounding motorsport ever, which I can probably believe. If you watch the 6-minute presentation, you can definitely hear the big nice audio sections, particularly the rumble strips on the track. They sound really nice and crisp. Do you know what? If there's any section of the presentation that I would believe, it would 100% be the audio, because if there's anything, I believe their audio is going to be absolutely fantastic, but only time will tell. So it's the first motorsport to be mixed natively for immersive audio formats like Windows Sonic and Dolby Atmos. That's very good to hear. Each audio system has been, yet again, rebuilt. Part upgrades change the way the car sounds, as it should be. You know, if you put in a different exhaust, it should sound different. If you put in a turbocharger over a supercharger or vice versa, it should sound differently, as it should. And every car has sound possibilities based on the parts installed. That's the little kind of phrase that they kind of used, which is kind of standard. So it has this variety of sound. It's kind of more, I would say, dynamic based on the parts that you apply. and I think that's a good thing. They go on to say that there would be dynamic sounds adjusting from its surroundings as you would, and obviously those dynamic sounds adjusted from the surroundings is also based on the parts that you've installed to that particular car. So audio is sounding pretty damn good so far, and that's when they go on to talk about environments. I'm a little bit confused why they've used the word environments, because they've said there's going to be 20 environments in Forza Motorsport. I'm assuming they mean tracks. Or do they? We're going to assume so. And 5 of those are going to be brand new to Forza Motorsport, which has included Kyalami in South Africa. And they did show off a lot of the footage from Kyalami, a track I have personally driven in a sim racing title of ACC Assetto Corsa Capzioni. Now, this next piece of information probably isn't your usual piece of information that the casual everyday would want to hear, but I think it's quite interesting. The laser scan tracks, there is over 3 terabytes of data from those laser scan tracks. I think that's a lot of data, and the fact that they can draw 10 times more detail than previous games from that, I think it's just good to know. I think that's a really interesting thing to have. They then move on and go to and mention the fact that the procedural cloud system is a thing, a bit like in Gran Turismo 7. I'm assuming they didn't go into any detail of that, they just mentioned the procedural cloud system. The tens of thousands of fully animated spectators, not a thing that you would particularly focus on, but again, they love going into detail of these other smaller aspects that we might appreciate a bit more now. You know, usually they're very copy and pasty of the spectators, maybe it will make the track just be that more lively, that more realism, which is clearly what they are going for right here. And the first time in Forza Motorsport, fully dynamic time and weather system. Again, kind of a standard in racing games now that we kind of like. Dynamic time and weather system, always good to see. One of those aspects where it's like, yeah, it's a nice feature to have. With that, dynamic track temps as well, and wet driving services and rubbering in, so you'll have that just, again, similar to the feature when Gran Turismo 7 was just about to release. They kind of explained all that, so that's going to be rivaling that as well. In terms of ray tracing, again, global illumination with real-time ray tracing on track. How that's going to perform on different various systems, we're going to wait and see. They have confirmed and said it's going to be rendered in 4K 60 FPS. Again, we'll see how that real-time ray tracing on track works, how that kind of performs. And then they briefly mention about some of the modes that we're at. So there's a new online racing mode. That's it. That's all they mentioned. We don't know anything about this new mode. And then they also say there is going to be a car building focused single player campaign. I am hoping it is something where we start with a bit of a shitbox, a bit of a, you know, an old kind of hatchback, and then work our way up. But it sounds like we might have some car building as well, which would be awesome. And then they finish off with the release date of 2023. I'd forgot about this very small detail until it was pointed out when I had a look of some people's thoughts, and someone said it's changed from spring 2023 to just 2023. Now, I don't see a big downside in this. I think they're thinking, okay, we are taking our time, we're not specifying what season of the year we're going to release, because I think they have a lot of work cut out for them, and they even said during it that they have a lot of work done and they have a mountain of work to do. So I would say, you know, out of everything that we've heard so far, it's sounding good. Whether it can achieve it, that's a different thing. So take as long as you like, but they have confirmed this year it's going to be releasing. So hopefully they can live up to all these features and things that we now have this kind of big expectation for now, I think. But don't have them too high, is all I'm going to say, because we know what game releases are right. Right, let's move on to Forza Monthly, because this is where they go into a tiny bit more detail. We get some more phrases, some more aspects, but there's a lot of them reiterating a lot of things that we already know. So, the first thing that I definitely wondered after that first live stream, the first thing he mentioned is every car is reworked. So that's the shaders and materials as well, and the replicating of the paints as well. So that's interesting. Every car is reworked, because that goes on to the old kind of complaint for a lot of the community. The S15 model is finally going to be updated. It sounds like it has been. So every car is reworked. I'm expecting a new model of the S15 turn 10. I expect it, and the entire community does as well. He also wants to say about the new damage modeling. That's good to see. The dirt build-up, it's again reiterating kind of some of the dirt aspects, but the dirt build-up, yeah, we kind of knew about. More modern race cars than ever before, which is always good. It's kind of a little bit of a bummer when you see the vast amount of cars that Forza has, but then you've got these older cars that we've just seen again and again and again. Give me the new cars, give me the new GT3 cars, the LMP cars and all that kind of stuff. So he went into a little bit more detail and said there was the Cadillac endurance car that is completely brand new. There's the 2018 Ginetta LeMan prototype LMP1 that's going to be in, so that's 2 endurance cars in. And then for GT4 we've got the 2021 Porsche Mission R, which is also electric. That is was also showcases on the Kyalami track as well, which you'll see. Again, they reiterated the 5 new locations, and the fact that all these locations were chosen or designed for different types of great racing action, which is a given. Every track has advantages and disadvantages. Some have more longer straights, some have more kind of slower or twisty turny corners, etc. The tyre model and suspension improved. Yeah, we kind of knew that already. Again, reiterating some of these points, but there are some new aspects in here. They went to talk about the Laguna Seca and the fact that the creative director actually was allowed to go onto the actual track, walk around and drive around it as well. And the fact that where the car park is right now, that's where the track used to be before they added in the corkscrew. But the power of Forza, they're making that a historic layout for Laguna Seca, and I think that's really good. Being able to race the before and after the historic track layouts, I think is really important for racing games and sim racing, and even a title like this, which is going to be a simcade. Again, they were reiterating the ray tracing for 4K 60, the global illumination. They've already mentioned that. The full dynamic time of weather, the track temperature, the pressure, and the drying lines. Now, the drying lines, track temp, pressure were sort of the terminology that we haven't heard before in the previous live stream, but they've used in this one. And they even used an example. He said you can do a 24-hour endurance race with full dynamic time and weather in 24 minutes. Fully customizable time and weather. That's great. What's also interesting is the points of contact of the tyre on the track. So previously, Forza has had 1 point of contact at 60 Hz, and now they've improved it to 8 points of contact per tyre at 360 Hz. And we also have the introduction, talking of tyres, different tyre compounds now supported of soft, medium and hard. I think that's pretty damn good. Does that mean pit stops? Was it confirmed in a previous Forza monthly like ages ago? I can't remember. I do hope so. Now we have the supporter of soft, medium, hard. Please have pit stops. Actual proper pit stops strategy. That's what we need in Forza. It's what we need. They've gone on to say that we've rebuilt the suspension and weight modeling that includes the fuel, so it means the longer that you're on the track, that fuel goes down, the weight changes. That's good. That's more in line with sim racing titles like iRacing and ACC and R Factor, etc. It supports balance adjustments based on that as well for the suspension. They've redone the braking. So basically anything that affects the vehicle dynamics has been completely rebuilt, as they keep reiterating. And again, they've said it's more rewarding to drive. You can find your limit, and it's new, drive friendly, which is a given. It's a Forza title. It's one of those entry points into almost sim racing. Some people started with Forza Motorsport and then moved on to more serious sim racing titles. But it looks like they're starting to edge the gap between simcade and full simulation now, which is really awesome. Another new piece of information is rebuilt the AI, so it's as fast as their fastest drivers, which I assume are the drivers at turn 10. So the AI are going to be a lot better, a lot harder, hopefully. And then he finished off saying in the coming months that they will share stuff on the career, on multiplayer, and the car and track list. So we have way more things to do. I think it's looking promising, but whether that they can achieve all of this, that is a completely different matter, and I really hope that they can achieve everything that they've mentioned in these live streams, because it's looking good. They're going into so much more detail, and there are all these aspects that weren't in Forza games but are a standard in these more sim racing titles like iRacing, like Assetto Corsa. Forza Motorsport has always been a simcade, directly in that middle of that kind of spectrum of racing games. I think they might start to be edging a little bit more towards the simulation aspect, and I'm absolutely absolutely all for that. And that is everything that you may or may not have missed during the developer direct livestream and the Forza monthly livestream on Twitch a day later. Now, if you did enjoy this video and like to see more like this one, make sure you are subscribed, hitting the bell icon, or make sure you are alerted for any new content. Most of my content, not this one, is usually taken from my live streams, which I stream at twitch.tv/MaverickRNG on a Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. But until next time, I'll be seeing you guys in the next video or live stream. Take care.